Okay, we're looking at Chapter 6, Getting Started. So these are the concepts that you will be using throughout Chapter 6. So the math concepts that and calculations that you will see quite frequently. Most you'll be able to use a calculator. Some will do without, just to get that mental math a little bit stronger. Chapter 6 is about working with money. So basically, things that you would do, calculations when you go shopping. So calculating discounts, calculating tax, what other kinds of things? Unit costs, so comparing prices of items, that kind of thing. So currency exchange, things that you do with money as opposed to earning money, because chapter 1 was about earning money. So first question, write each percent as a decimal. So remember to convert a percent to a decimal. That percent symbol is really a 1 with 2 zeros. The 1 is just diagonally. So that means we're dividing by 100 to get the decimal form. So 25 divided by 100 is the fraction form. So really it's 100%. Means you're not dividing, you're not changing anything. So the percent signs divide out. That's your fraction. We want it as a decimal, 0.25. Okay. 15, so divide by 100%. So 15 over 100 is 0.15. So really it moves the decimal 2 to the left. Here, 2 to the left. So 0.47. Here, 2 to the left, you have to fill in with a 0. And we like to put a 0 out front. Okay, just remember that. It's kind of proper math form. Here, 2 to the left, fill in with a 0, so 0.015. Here, 2 to the left is 0.125. Okay, so those shouldn't have to use a calculator because it's just moving the decimal place. Then calculating percentage of a number. Of means multiply. And 25%. So I usually convert that to a decimal. Although sometimes for nice percentages, like 25%, that's really a quarter of 100%. And so if we think of, if this was 100, 25% would be 25. This is 5 times as much. So 25 times 5 is 125. So I can actually figure that out without a calculator. If you want to use a calculator, then you would enter 0.25 times by 500. If you're not sure what the percent is as a decimal, then go 25 divided by 100. Okay, and then multiply by 500 all at once, you get the same thing. Okay, 6% is 0.06. So I just find it faster to do that, 0.06. Of means multiply, 35.5. We don't need to show the last 0 in our calculator. And that's 2.13. Okay, 10%, that's really moving the decimal 1 to the left. Okay, because really 10% is 0.1. And so you're really just one digit there, moving the decimal. So this is going to be 165. Now, if you want to use your calculator, then you can. Confirms 165. Taking a look at the right column. Again, if you have something like that's a multiple of 100, 35% of, so 35% of 100 would be 35. No percent symbol, it's just the value, because this is just a number. So if we've got 300, it would be 3 times that. So that would be 105. That's how you could do it without a calculator. 2.5% of 50, so a little trick for this without a calculator. If you think about 2.5% of 100 would be 2.5. Well, 50 is half of 100. So 2.5 divided by 2 is 1.25. Okay, and then 0.5% of 29, again, you can use your calculator. That would be 0.005. So just make sure you're aware of that. But if you want a fast way without a calculator, think 0.5% is half of 1%. Well, 1% of 29 is just moving the decimal 2 to the left, so 0.29. Okay, there's a decimal 2 to the left, and so really you're cutting that in half. 0.29 divided by 2 would be 0.145. So if you didn't have a calculator, you can still do it. Probably you'll end up using a calculator for that one. So there's your percent as a decimal without a percent sign, and then multiply by 29. Okay, and then if you wanted to, if you're not sure, with decimal places and stuff like that, 0.5 divided by 100, that gives you that 0.005. Okay. Then write each decimal as a percent. That's really pretty straightforward. You're just multiplying always by 100 with a percent symbol. Okay. Really, that's not changing it. The percent, this has a value of 1. If you didn't have a percent symbol, so multiplying anything by 1 is itself. And so that's why it keeps the percent symbol. So we move it to the right 2 places, to the right 2 places, to the right 2 places means we have to fill in with a 0 there, so that's 10%. To the right 2 places is 4%. To the right 2 places is 5.5%. 2 places is 0.2%. Okay. Then write each fraction as a percent, round to the nearest tenth. So again, whether it's a decimal or a fraction, you're multiplying by 100 with the percent symbol. So really, you're multiplying this. I'm just going to erase that 100 here. So really, we're multiplying by 100, the percent symbol. So here, we're multiplying by 100 over 1 with the percent symbol. So then 5 goes into 100 20 times. 2 times 20 is 40 with the percent symbol. Then here times 100 over 1%. 4 goes into 8 twice, into this 25. You get 125 over 2. Okay, but it says round to the nearest tenth. So that's going to be, what, 62.5%. 1/3. 3 doesn't go into that, so that's 300 over 3, which is going to be, you may even want to think about 1/3 is 0.3 repeating. So when you when you move the decimal place, you're going to get 33.3% rounded. Okay, it's really 33.3 repeating, but we're going to round. And then 4/3, well, if we've already done 1/3, then it's just going to be 4 times as much. Or it's going to be 100, so that's going to be 400 over 3 percent. There should be a percent. And what is that? So, well, 4 over 3 is 1.3 repeating. So if we move the decimal 2 to the right, it's going to be 1.3 repeating. We're going to move the decimal 2 to the right, so 133.3 rounded to the nearest tenth percent. Okay, because 4 is bigger than 3, so you know it's going to be more than 100%. All right, and complete the chart. So basically going back and forth. So if we're going this way, we're multiplying by 100 with the percent symbol. So that's going to just move the decimal 2 to the right, which is 25. If we're going obviously backwards, we're going to divide by 100, and that's going to move the decimal 2 to the left. Okay, you don't need the 0 after it. Fractions, you can either go, if you've got the percent, remember that means 25 over 100, and that reduces, so always reduce it. This means 30 over 100. Reduce that, that's 3 over 10. Okay, then this way, decimal 4/5. So 4 divided by 5. If you're not sure about that, think about $1 cut into 5 parts. That would be 20 cents. Times 4 is 80 cents, so that would be 0.8. As a percent, that would be 80%. But you can certainly get your calculator out and go 4 divided by 5. That gives you your decimal. Multiply by 100. Okay, that gives you 80 with the percent symbol. 9 over 8, that's going to be bigger than 100%. Just be aware of that. If you're not sure what 9 divided by 8 is, then you can do it on your calculator, 1.125. Move the decimal 2 to the right, so 112.5%. Here, if it's got a 1, remember that's more than 100%. As a decimal, move the decimal to the right, so 123. In terms of a fraction, that will be, so really that's 123 over 100, if it's percent. And that doesn't reduce. Okay, 123, 3 goes into that 41 times, but not into 100. 5.9% as a decimal, we would divide, so 0.059. As a fraction, we don't like to show 5.9 over 100. Don't like to have a decimal within a fraction. So you can multiply top and bottom by 10 to get 59 over 1,000, which is really what you would have from this. 59 over 1 with 3 zeros. And again, that doesn't reduce. Okay. Next page. Calculate, so 6, calculate the total cost of each item, including GST. So GST, goods, government sales tax, I think it is, or goods and services tax. Goods and services tax, I think it says. Yeah, goods and services tax. It's 5% across the whole country. As it says here, provinces have different provincial sales tax. In Alberta, we don't have that. Okay, so we might have to do some calculations in this chapter that do have provincial sales tax, but we right now don't. So an MP3 player for $79.99, the GST, so we want to multiply by 0.05. Sometimes we don't care about the actual amount of the GST, we just want the final price, but in this case, we're just finding the GST to start. Okay, so that is $33, sorry. Take a look, nearest cent, that third 9 makes that 9 go up, which makes the first 9 go up, which makes the whole thing go up to $4. So I'm just going to erase this. So to the nearest cent, it is $4. $4, and then we add that on to the cost of the MP3 player. So that would be $83.99. Laptop is $549, so we want to take $549.99 and multiply by the GST as a decimal. So 549.99 times 0.05 is $27. And again, the second 9 makes the first 9 go up to 10, so that carries forward, so that would be $27.50. So the total, if you don't have units in the actual calculation, I'm okay with that, but you do need to have it at the end. So plus $27.50, and that's going to be $577.49. Okay, then calculating a quarter of, or some kind of fraction, and that is sometimes when items are on sale, that's how they might be advertised. You get a third off, a quarter off, that kind of thing. So remember, we're multiplying, so a quarter of 500. And again, for this one, you don't need a calculator. A quarter of 100 is 25, right? 1/4 is 25 cents out of $1. So we have 5 of them. So 25 times 5 is 125. Same thing here, a third of 30. Now you can see 3 goes into 30 10 times, so that's just going to be 10. You're really just dividing 30 by 3, dividing 500 by 4. Dividing 1,650 by 10 moves the decimal place. So, oops. So 165. Here, so we're multiplying. So you can, again, figure out what 3/5 of 100 is and then triple it, or 5 goes into 300 60 times. 3 times 60 is 180. 5 goes into 200 40 times, and a half of 29 is 29 over 2, which is 14.5 as a decimal. Okay, suppose you have a coupon for 10% off a meal. Calculate the price of each meal here. So we've got total cost of a meal, $56.98, and you get 10% off of that. So they've done it all in one step here, but in one calculation. That's really what you're calculating first. Order of operations says you have to do multiplying or brackets before subtracting. So 10% of this cost just moves the decimal 1 to the left. So 5.698, that 8 makes the 9 go up, so that makes it $5.70. And then subtract. So maybe you want to get your calculator for that. So $56.98 minus $5.70 is $51.28. Now, we'll do the same method for the next one, and then I'll show you an alternate. So 10% of $19.57 is $1.96. Okay, and then we want to subtract those. Is $17.61. Now, if you were just asked the price of each meal after the discount, you don't really care what the actual amount of the discount is. What's happening is you are taking off 10%. Okay, when it's a coupon, you're subtracting 10% from the 100%. So 100% minus 10% means that you are paying 90%. Well, let's do it for the last one. If we take 90%, which is 0.9, multiply it by the cost of the meal, we will get, and let's just check it, the same thing. Okay, rounded is 0.61. The reason why there's a decimal place there and not there is because we had to round back for this value. So if we hadn't rounded, we would have got the same thing. So just be aware of that. So I'll put an or there. Okay, Sasha likes to tip 15% on the cost of services. That's pretty common. Estimate the tip on each purchase. So a haircut of $68. So you want to calculate 15% of 68. Now the way that they've done it, they've split that into parts as if you maybe didn't have a calculator. So 10% of 68 is 6.8. 5% would be half of this, which would be 3.4. So 15% would be, adding those together, would be 10.2. Now I should put zeros in because it's money. So $10.20. Faster way is just to do this, 0.15 times 68 is 10.2, right? And with the dollar symbol. Okay. B, taxi fare, 15% of 23. So again, they've done it separately. I'm just going to go 0.15 times 23. Okay, 3.45. There. So $3.45. So that's B, what your tip would have to be. Okay, and that's the end of getting started.